What were you saying?
I was gonna say, might I also just like point out again how like impressed and jealous and like inspired I am by you doing this whole thing with the truck. The fact that you like, and also like the problems that you had with the truck too, and then figuring it out and still, where are you right now? You're in Florida right now?
Yeah, Florida,
Like
Panama City Beach.
crazy from
Yeah.
Vancouver to back home, fixing the truck however you needed to fix it, and then down to Florida, like crazy, bro. That's big stuff.
Man,
That's like life changing shit.
that was an adventure and a half for sure. Like that,
Imagine.
I don't even know how to like put it into words what I had to go through to get the truck fixed. But it's like, so before we continue, welcome everybody to the podcast.
Yeah, what up, everybody?
Here
just
with
hopped
me
right into it.
Is Brandon Mcknight,
what it do?
good buddy of mine, and an amazing actor and just all around entertainer. Because I also want to dive into like your directing side of things as well as you doing your Twitch stuff now. But back to what you were talking about. Going from Vancouver, heading east, had some problems trying to get over the mountains, the Rocky Mountains, like destroyed.
Was your truck just not trying to do it? No power?
Like, I did the terrible thing of not getting a tune-up before hitting the road.
Word.
And like there were pipes that were disconnected and everything. Because like when I bought the truck, I was just driving around Vancouver. The drives weren't that long. And so the engine wasn't being cooled properly. So it broke down, trying to get over the Rockies, had to get it towed, got it towed to Calgary. And then they were like, your what line was disconnected? So something dealing with my oil line was disconnected. And it's like, that's why it's like going through 6 liters of oil, like,
God damn,
every time you turn it on. And
so on startup, you burn through 6 liters of oil. Did you know that?
Oh man. So did that. And then from Calgary, trying to get to Winnipeg, it broke down again in Saskatchewan, and then I had to get my what they call EGR cooler changed. Just because it like the oil not being connected properly, the oil line not being connected properly, like already fried the EGR cooler.
Yeah,
because
that makes sense.
It just got too hot, and then got that replaced, and then got to Toronto, had to get the turbo replaced, and then that big mess up that happened with like there's a
with the valve,
and then so that's one.
Which is crazy to me that you made it that far with that going on.
Well, I think that happened in Toronto. I'm almost certain that had to have happened in Toronto because.
I'm like, how the fuck you make it that far?
Yeah, so from Toronto to, we didn't even get past Quebec. We were right at the border, and then there was problems with that because of COVID. Like the CAA program is different in Quebec because Quebec decides to be its own country at times. So they weren't gonna cross the border into New Brunswick. So that was its own ordeal. But the crazy thing that, like, from when I bought the truck to all the mechanics that it faced, whenever they fix it, they're like, "Oh yeah, it's gonna run fine. It's a diesel. Diesels are tanks."
It's like every mechanic should wear a shirt that has that quote on. Oh yeah, it'll be fine. Every mechanic should have that. Every mechanic says that. When a mechanic says that, don't believe them. I've said it so many times in my life.
Oh man!
And then they're back.
Where did you mechanic again? Was it BMW?
No, I was working at a Nissan dealership in Brampton.
Nissan. Gotcha.
Collectively 8.5, almost 9 years. Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah.
So you probably would have been so much more help if this was a regular.
But that's the thing. I remember you were messaging me, and it's like it's hard to diagnose through messages and stuff like that. It's like, so like for me personally, like there's some mechanics that can just like hear a problem and they can give you a list of like 15 different problems, but then you give a list of 15 different problems, doesn't really help. You know what I mean? I'm also just not one of those mechanics. I got to go in and actually see what's happening so my brain can compute it. You know what I mean? Because there's like so many reasons for so many things. I never try to do guesswork. But yeah.
Damn. Yeah. So like, ever since it got fixed, we got the engine swap in New Brunswick. Like it's been running fine, but like I'm still nervous. Like I'm traumatized.
Of course.
I'm trying to get across.
Yeah, that's PTSD, bro. No, but it's crazy to me. Like, I feel like, I don't know. I just feel like this is a life lesson. And this is why I'm inspired by the shit that you're doing. Cause like the fact that it's not just about taking the trip, bro. You're taking a trip in a truck. Okay, we got to start from the top. You bought a truck. No, start from the top. Okay. You woke up one morning and was like, fuck it. Fuck this paying rent shit. I'm going to live free and I'm going to get a truck and I'm going to make this truck into like my home. That way I can be anywhere in the world that I want to be on my own accord. That by itself. I feel like a lot of people have that idea. I'm sure there's more specifics and nuance to it for you, but I'm sure a lot of people have that idea of just wanting to be free and like getting up in a truck and like leaving somewhere and blah, 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 blah. So the idea is like, all right, cool idea. But then you bought the truck. That's a step further than 99% of the people go when they have this idea. And then you start to build the truck yourself, which is wild to me. I remember the first day I went to see the truck, I was like, yo, this motherfucker
wild,
did it.
Man. Because like, there's still a few things that are like, there's a leak in the skylight that I tried to build. So it's like, if it's raining, then we're sleeping next to like a couple bulls to catch some water.
Oh yeah, word.
You know what I mean? So it's like,
builds character. That's all good.
How much more character do I need? But no, yeah. But like one cool thing that we were able to do the other day was, because now that we're down here and it's hot, we got 2 windows on both sides and you helped install one of them. So opening up both of them gets a nice cross breeze going on and just cools down the whole place.
That's what I mean. But like, I don't know, it just sets things in it's like not everybody could do what you're doing, you know what I mean? And there's like one thing that I'm really noticing in people as I get older and older is how important it is. Like me and my girlfriend right now, we're watching this show called there's 2 shows. There's one show called Selling Sunset, where it's a bunch of these ladies who sell incredibly expensive real estate in LA. Then there's another show called Bling Empire, which is basically like Crazy Rich Asians, but in real life, you know what I mean? And we're watching both of those shows.
What season are you on for that one?
Crazy Rich Asians?
Bling Empire.
Oh, Bling Empire? We only have the first season. I didn't know there was more than one.
I think there's a second season.
Oh shit. I'd be down to super watch that. That show's so good. But anyways.
But yeah, it's just a whole new other side of life.
Yeah, like it's insane. And like just seeing the quality of people, and the older I get, like I was saying, it's just people that have character, people that can like deal with real life stuff. Because what I'm noticing with certain characters on both of these shows, a lot of them really are not in touch with reality. They're really just in touch with like everything being Dior and everything being perfect and everything going the way. That's the biggest thing. Things have to go the way they want to go, or else they literally don't know how to deal with it. They start throwing temper tantrums, and these are grown people, grown adults. You know what I mean? So whenever somebody is willing to like throw away the creature comforts that we've all grown to normalize and grown to feel like we need, to throw all that stuff away and deal with life as it comes, I feel like is a quality that is absent in most people. And I think it's really commendable, bro. I'm gonna say it every time I see you, but it's really commendable, and I'm jealous. I want to do it. And it's dope.
Respectfully with that, where it's just like, because I constantly have that thought too, and I always have to check myself and recheck myself on how blessed and fortunate I am to have, you know, the type of job that we have, that not only allows us to make our own schedule, but it also gives us that income that we need to kind of, what do you call it? Like find our freedom, if you will.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that's just, if I didn't have the job that I did and have booked the shows that I have, like this whole adventure would have been done when I had to do the engine swap. You know?
Oh yeah, true, yeah.
And so like, that's one thing, but then it always makes me wonder where it's just like, as easy as it is to just say, you know, yeah, live your life without the comforts. It's like everybody's capable of it, sure, but then it's to what degree? Like I did all this, and one thing that I had to make sure was I had an espresso machine.
Espresso, I mean?
It's like, so I'm still getting some of the comforts of regular life. Because I remember a buddy of mine, when I told him that I was doing this, he sent me a video, and it was essentially this girl who wanted to start a van life thing, but then all she was doing was just literally living in the back of her van. Then there was like nothing. It was just a regular, and it was just like, no, that's not what I'm gonna do. Like, I need some.
I need my espresso. I'm not trying to do that.
You know what I mean? So it's like, so as much as it's a constant, I guess, back and forth with that concept of like when people say that they're proud that I'm doing it, it's like at the same time I want to say that you can also do this in a way. And so, because especially with Monique here, she is doing freelance work, so she has that allowance to
freedom as
work
well,
and be on the road. So it's like, as much as I want to just tell everybody, go and do it, it's like it's harder to say nowadays. I don't know. Before I was like, no, just do it. Of course you can do it. And then now there's so many factors in where it's like, I want you to do it. I want you to enjoy it and possibly live this life as well. But then it's like, there's just so many steps. And I came to the conclusion of thinking where it's like, it sucks that that there is a dollar value to our freedom in a sense.
Absolutely.
And that's what's like,
you literally have to work to buy your freedom in a way,
right? And that's like one of the things with this adventure is like I was able to afford my freedom, and I took advantage of it. Such a rough thing to like wrap my head around, because it's like that's just how much control the world is under, where it's like, oh, you think you're free, but you're not really
free.
So it's
and then it's funny too, because like even just getting to that cap of like freedom, like for instance, like me in the position I'm in right now, I have access to more right now than I've ever had access to in my life. You know, I went my 27 years without having a dollar to my name, really. You know what I'm saying? And now there's this abundance of stuff. Not that I'm super well off or anything like that, but I'm able to like take care of myself and my family. And one thing I was thinking about, or one thing I've been thinking about recently, is that whole idea of freedom. And I'm like, wow, like I'm capable of doing these things now, and it's becoming normal to me. Where like I'll be making decisions, and then all I have to do is hear one person be like, oh no, I don't think I can do that. And then I'm like, oh shit. Like it's this weird duality where it's like, oh, I remember what that's like. And I remember like so much of my life was that, where it's like, I gotta really strategize how I do literally anything. You know what I mean? I can't be out here buying coffee every morning. You know what I mean? I can't be out here doing this, doing that, going wherever I want to go and all these things. And then on the other side of it, I'm like, I've worked for what I consider my freedom of now I'm able to do these things and have this fun and da 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 da. But then on top of that, it's not even really fully freedom yet, because I'm still tied to a lot of different things.
Oh, hold on 1 second.
No worries. Is that another espresso?
No. This is killing me. I don't even know how to go about this one. Because that's already not plugged in. I genuinely don't. I just gotta do this for a sec.
Yeah, no worries.
I can't even do that.
Is that Mike Wazowski?
No.
Is that Monsters Inc?
This is the Grinch, actually.
Oh, yeah, I can see it now. Yeah.
I got a hoodie.
There you go.
One more thing. All right, sorry to cut you off there.
No worry.
But no, yeah, what you're saying, talking about like having to afford that freedom.
Yeah.
I think I could do it like this. Why not?
Yeah, you look great.
It works. And
There
so what just happened is my my power inverter decided to say fuck you.
I'm done for the night.
It got so like whatever. Because like it was a cloudy day and it wasn't able to charge all the way, I guess.
Oh, word.
All right, what are you eating? Because I want to show you what I'm eating as well.
I am eating vegetable fried rice.
Vegetable fried rice. Where'd you get it from?
I don't even remember what this place is called, bro. It's this place that I order from all the time here in Vancouver. Hold on, I'm gonna look it up right now. I'm gonna give them a free plug.
This is Savannah's Candy Kitchen. We're in Savannah, Georgia. And so you know how we have turtles?
That looks exquisite. Yeah.
You know how we have turtles? This is essentially their version of a turtle where it's like caramel is holding all of this together. Chocolate, those are pecans.
That looks amazing.
We just walked into a store
and found it.
Savannah's Candy Kitchen just decided to say we're gonna show you life for a second.
You try to order that. You try to Amazon that. That looks like one of those things you would make at home and would like kill every dinner party that you ever held. It's like that's the thing everybody looks forward to after dinner. That's what it looks like.
That's funny. Yeah. So, Flash, how's that going?
Man. It's going great.
Are you in between seasons right now?
No, we're basically halfway through our 8th season, my 2nd season, or 3rd, I guess. Yeah, no, things are good. Everything's good. I just got off of a stream with fans of the show who will follow me on Twitch and watch me play video games and shit. And it's just the way people are receiving this season of the show and the way people are expressing how they feel about it and stuff like that is a huge, it's a great deal of validation, and it's also a huge change from last year. And the vibe on set has also changed with that too. And yeah, no, it's good. I can't complain. This season's been I've noticed a change in myself this season, because last season was my first time as a series regular on anything. It was my last time being on anything, or my first time being on anything where I worked for more than one episode. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I never had the experience of working a gig and then, coming back next week and seeing the same people. I've never had to learn names, you know what I mean, and remember names and all those stuff. So the last season was I've never had to like memorize lines consistently, like new lines consistently, you know what I mean? So there's all these things last season that I was getting used to. Learning my co-stars and getting to know my co-stars is something that I had never done before. Learning that work-home balance, and then learning that, like, because you spend all this time with these people, so you become friends, but it's also a professional environment, so you got to be mindful still, and navigating that nuance. And then also just being in the work for that long, and then being a character, playing the same character for that long, and still trying to find ways to grow and da-da-da-da-da. So last year was like one of my biggest focuses last year, was just to get used to the workflow of it all and find my process of, we all have our process of how we do the work, but the process of doing the work consistently with all these new things coming into you on a consistent basis. So every week and a half you get a new script and you got to learn these things. Every week and a half there's a new guest star coming in, but then you also have these relationships that you're building with the people that are consistently there. There's all these things outside of the work as well that I was trying to like really get a handle on. And to boil it all down, like I was just like, my biggest focus last year was just like, I got to make sure I remember my lines, especially because my character be saying like some crazy shit, man.
Yeah.
He'd be saying some gravitational wave emitter and all these random words that don't exist side by side.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? These singular words that you can find in the dictionary, but in conjunction with each other don't mean anything.
Yeah.
So, and being able to say those words like I know them, and like I say them all the time.
Like, but isn't it a thing though in quantum physics? Like,
what?
Sure, in regular speak, all these words together won't mean anything, but there is some kind of sense to it.
There is 100% of.
That's how like
there's
the fans and stuff can follow along. You know what I mean? Right?
Yes. Yeah. There is the foundation to a lot of it. What I've found is usually, this is what I found, the trick that we're using on the show is usually the first, let's say it's a term or we're naming something and the thing we're naming has 4 names and they're 4 scientific. No, I don't.
Okay.
But let's say in the writing they name it. I find that whatever that machine is used for is the first 2 words. The first 2 words are what exist in the real world. And then the last 2 words they add for like flair. You know what I mean? Is what I've noticed.
Give me an example with something in your room.
Okay. So like my computer, I'm trying to think of something that I said on my last script. What did I say? I can actually look some shit up right now. I'm gonna spoiler alert.
I love how like it's done where it's like you've memorized it and now it just lets it go. That's
like,
amazing.
Dear God, let me forget this.
So the first 2 words are the
first 2
purpose
words
of it.
will be the purpose of the thing. So let's say a gravitational wave emitter. No, that's what I just said. But like a gravitational wave emitter or what's the word an isotopic gravitational wave emitter. So the topic will be isotopes. And it'll be one of the villains or something like that who controls some sort of gravitational wave now, or some sort of gravity. And the emitter part of it is, this is a terrible example, but the emitter part of it is just something that we've added because it's a gun that we shoot the isotopic gravitational wave with. So it emits the isotopic gravitational wave. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like we mix these different concepts together to create these long words. And so that's where like in my mind, sometimes things would get, because I'm a big physics nerd and I'm a big science nerd. So like most of the time,
to what degree, like how, when you say you're a science nerd and a physics nerd, like how far have you like went down rabbit holes just following what your curiosity tells you to follow? How far have you gone?
So I've gone down into things like, I've gone down holes into like nuclear physics. I've gone down, my deepest holes are when it comes to astrology and things that have to do with like deep outer space and things of that sort.
Astronomy, Brendan.
Astronomy. And I said astrology. But you got what I was trying to say.
This is for the fans. This is
for the fans, exactly. But yeah, no, like there's a lot of things that I've like dove into and I'm really, really interested in. And I haven't had much time to like really feel that. It's so funny. I was talking about this the other day because I was talking about how like so many of my old habits I don't have anymore and I'm trying to find them again. And one of my old habits would be getting on YouTube and watching a video about, it could be about philosophy or it could be about astrophysics or it could be about nuclear physics or whatever. And then just diving deep and literally spending hours on YouTube and Google, just learning as much as I can about whatever that topic was. I remember the last time I did that, I finished watching Chernobyl on HBO.
Nice.
And I was learning everything I could about it. And I got down to learning how nuclear power plants work now to like in a grand scheme of things, not the specifics, because that's the university type shit. But understanding how the general idea of how everything works and why that happened in the way that happened and why they say it'll never happen in that way again in the different ways they've engineered power plants, et cetera, to do the same thing, but in a different way that's also become a lot more efficient.
Yeah.
But yeah, I dive down those rabbit holes all the time.
Remind me again, how did Chernobyl fail?
So basically, I don't know how to explain it shortly. Basically, so in these power plants, they have these things called rods. The rods are made out of a certain metal. I don't remember what they were using at Chernobyl, but let's say it was like carbon. And they lowered the metal down into a vat of another solution. Again, I don't remember exactly what it is. We'll just say it's water. So depending on how much power output you want, you lower or raise the rod in and out of this vat. The more you lower the rod in, the more atoms are reacting with each other, so you get more output of energy. So what happened with Chernobyl, and then what happens is, if things get too hot, then they start spraying certain things down with water. So what happened is with Chernobyl, one of the rods was all the way in, and apparently at the base of the rod is another metal that I don't remember, but that metal reacts with the solution that they use to cool things down. And there's like the way they operate things is you never activate the cooling stuff while the rod is fully submerged. And if you do that, what's supposed to happen, there's supposed to be a fail-safe if a reaction like that starts. Something malfunctioned in the process of those things that kept the rod down, kept the cooler on, and the reaction it was just a domino effect of reactions. And then it just blew up. It just became a whole thing. But yeah, I don't remember how we got here, but that's the type of shit I stay doing. But yeah, so in that last season of the show, like, and what I'm trying to do is get back to those old habits. And so now moving into this season of the show, because my brain has now adjusted to learning my lines as quickly as I needed to learn them. And I've built all these relationships and all these things. Now I'm like, okay, now I can really just focus on the work of it all. And really trying to, it's not just about playing this character, it's about finding a deeper well within myself to play this character, but also further complicating and further developing this character. And the writing has also like helped me a lot with that, because they've given me a lot to chew on. They've given me almost too much to chew on, which I love to be in that place of being like, I don't know how I'm going to do this, and then figuring it out. So they've done a lot of that this season, which has been great. But it's also opened up this.
Did you have like a moment when you first got there? Maybe it came in the first episode, maybe it came like 5 episodes in, but did you have a moment where it was like, yo, I got this? Because I remember the first few episodes when I started, I felt overwhelmed, even though I had the capacity to do the lines and all that stuff and memorize properly. Like it wasn't until this moment that I was like, oh, this is normal. I got this. When did you ease into Chester?
To be completely honest with you, bro, I don't know if I've eased in. I don't know if I've eased in, because I want to say I have. And I want to say like there's been times where I've said I've got it, but every time I've said I've got it, it was to reassure myself. You know what I mean? Every time I thought, oh no, you got this, it was to reassure myself. Sometimes I'll get a script and we start shooting that episode, in 3 days. And I'll have an entire page of gravitational wave emitter speech. I'll tell myself, I'll freak out immediately and I'll be like, Brandon, you've done this already. Like you've done this before. You've had these monologues before and you always figure it out. Relax. But all the way up until the director says cut, and that's the last time I'm saying it in that scene and we're moving on, is like anxiety, to be completely honest with you. And if I'm being honest with myself, I never really feel like I have it down, which I've grown to, I guess, kind of get comfortable with. Like working under the state of being like very anxious about what I'm doing, because it also serves the character as well. So if anything, I've just gotten used to using what I have. You know what I mean? If I'm nervous, I'm just going to be nervous in the scene.
Yeah.
And you know, I've been lucky where that serves the character. But yeah, I don't think I've ever gotten to a point where I've got this. I've had moments of like dialogue where I've been like, oh, I don't have to worry about that. I got that. And I've had takes where after the take, I'll be like, ooh, that was it. Like that felt good. You know what I mean? I don't know how it looked.
And then that's when they say, oh, let's just
go we got to do it again. Yeah, that was terrible, Brandon. That was so shit. But like I've had those moments but I've never had a moment beforehand where I'm like, oh, watch this shit. I got this. I've never had that. I don't think I've ever had that in anything I've ever done as an actor. I've always been so fucking anxious about shit. So
interesting.
Yeah.
Like I'm not saying I don't get nervous or anxious. I always get for sure. But like there's just a level of comfort I think that finds its way. Maybe it is the comfort in that anxiety.
Yeah,
but it's like, I don't know if I'm translating this correctly. But then what do you do then once you start to feel those nerves kicking in and they're about
I run it as often as I can run it. And then, you know, the only thing I can rely on is my prep and my training.
Yeah.
And one thing I repeat to myself, and one thing that was really hard for me to like accept early on and still kind of sort of to this day, is the belief of deserving that you belong, or believing that you belong, believing that you deserve to be where you're at.
Yeah.
Basically. So like I remember last episode that we shot, I had a scene where actually I probably can't even tell you what the scene is, but
is that the same one as the audition that we tried to get Shaq?
Yes. That same character.
Gotcha. Let's see how much we can talk about this without giving it.
Yeah. So the aftermath of that character gets kind of reversed for a little bit, and and my character has a moment with this character, and it's just a very deep traumatic experience. And you know, I just remember like right before we did this, we did a bunch of scenes before we did this scene. And the entire day I was just trying to block the scene out of my head, being like, look, I just got to be present and focus on what I'm doing right now. And then came the time for the scene, and it was pure anxiety. And I was like, this could be one of those things where you play it safe and don't make any wild decisions and just go for it. And, you know, you know it'll work. And I feel safe in that space. But then I know afterwards I'm going to feel like absolute shit, because I'm going to be like, oh, God. You know what I mean? I'm like, oh, I did the basic typical actor thing. Anyone else that has any lick of talent could have done that. You know what I mean? Instead of doing the thing that's kind of scary and might blow up in your face. And because that's what I like, you know, as actors, we want to strive to do the best we can do.
Yeah.
But also the catch-22 of that is when you're trying to do the best you can do, you start doing things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That kind of pull your performance apart. So for me, I was like, I could very much so do the thing that I know is going to work, or I could allow myself to really be present with this and really let this thing kind of flow through me and fight the urge to try and take control of it and fight the urge to blah, 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 blah. And that's why it scares me. It's writing that balance of it, right?
Yeah.
And, you know, and that's the one thing I said to myself before we actually started shooting that scene, I was in the hallway prepping myself, getting myself into just trying to focus really and get myself into the state of mind and state of being. Because in my mind, I'm like, if I can get myself into this state, then I won't have to worry about controlling anything, because everything that happens from this state is true. You know what I mean? So I won't have to worry about acting. I won't have to worry about doing anything. I can just let myself fly. And if it's shit, somebody will tell me. You know what I mean? Versus me trying to control the shit. And I remember just telling myself,
you're saying that you're going to get an Emmy off of this one.
I fucking wish.
This is the Emmy performance.
This is the Emmy performance.
Cool. All right.
Oh God. But yeah, I just remember telling myself, Brandon, you're here because you belong here. You deserve to have scenes like this, and you're capable of scenes like this. So just go in there and get it, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And and then I just, you kind of just got to dive in it. And I still have no idea. Like I remember afterwards being like, oh yeah, okay, I did the thing. And there's always moments of like, your ego kind of creeps and you start to control it a little bit. But for the overall aspect of what we did, I'm like, okay, I did it,
Mm-hmm.
and I got somewhere. I
Yeah.
don't know where it went, but I ventured somewhere, and
Mm-hmm.
hopefully people like it. The director didn't tell me it was shit, so I guess they are happy with it, and I just gotta kind of, I did it. I can be
Yeah.
happy that I did it. You know what I mean? I
Now,
know if I went in there trying to control shit, I would have been like, "Oh, Brandon, what the fuck are you doing?" That, you know.
are you the type then to like ask for another take if the director says, "I think we got it"? Are you the one to be like, "Could we do one more for safety?" Or
Absolutely,
yeah.
absolutely,
Hmm.
absolutely. And that's another thing that I've grown to learn on this show is like taking your space, and like, it's a writer's medium and it's a producer's medium, but like you do have, especially being a series regular on something, you do have some say over certain things.
Hmm.
So speaking up more has been something that I've really been working on.
Yeah.
And there, all of last season, there would be takes where I'm like, I controlled my way all the way through that. Like I was very mindful of what I was doing throughout the entire scene. I
Mm-hmm.
should ask for another one. And they'll come and ask me, but you don't want to be like, you don't want to hold people up, and you're already on hour 10, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you're like,
Yeah.
you know what, I'm not gonna ask for another one. Let that be what it is.
Hmm.
But this season, one thing I've been doing a lot of is just like, I think I need one more of those. Let me just give it another crack. Maybe it'll be shit, but
Yeah.
let me just try another.
Fair. And I think
Yeah.
that's a great segue into one of the things that I wanted to talk to you about.
Mm-hmm.
Is you're talking about how the producers are involved and the writers are involved, and you have shown a lot of interest and have even done some work behind the camera as well.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
like you you've also expressed that you've also wanted to direct, and
Yes, yeah, yeah.
has
Hopefully that works.
have you been like presented with that opportunity with Flash to maybe potentially
What
direct an episode?
the way everybody that I've talked to about is very excited about, and they're all like very supportive of it. Um, it's there's a lot of hoops to jump through,
Hmm.
which is what I'm in the process of doing right now.
Sweet.
Um, I'm waiting for some certain directors to come back for me to shadow, which I might stop waiting and just go with whoever's coming.
Yeah. Yeah.
um, yeah, like one of the mandates that you have to have with Warner Brothers is you have to have a short, and they changed the rules now. You have to have a short film made, but the short film be has to be shown in an Oscar qualifying festival, which makes it really tough.
An Oscar
Um,
qualifying festival.
yeah, what's good about that is there's a lot of them. It's just a matter of getting in.
So now,
Uh,
with respect to that though,
mhm,
um, because you've directed a short
yeah,
with your production company BDB,
yeah. Hmm.
and so does that mean it just had to be submitted to a particular festival in order for you to be noticed?
Has to get in.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
before the rule was you just had to have a short film that was in a festival. It could be any festival and you're good. But now they're like, no, it has to be in an Oscar qualifying festival. And then we
Hmm.
will, I guess they're just trying to thin the crowd of the amount of people trying to get into the director door
Yeah.
for like the CW and Warner Brothers stuff, which
Okay.
I enjoy a challenge, and I'm confident in the little film that we've made, and we're kind of in the process of finishing it right now. We're just doing all the
Nice.
post sound,
Yeah.
and we got a composer on board who's doing good work, and
Hmm.
our sound designer is incredible, so he's doing his thing to it. But this film should be done by like January, like early to mid-January, and then
Beautiful.
I'm just going to be blasting it out to as many festivals. I'm also writing another short film right now that's a little more in my lane of things. I love the sci-fi stuff,
Hmm.
so I'm writing another sci-fi short film where if like I'm very cocky about it right now in this writing process, and I'm like, ooh, this is gonna be fire. But it's definitely big, and it's definitely going to be something that's difficult to digest, and now I'm just trying to make it accessible.
Hmm.
And if I can find a way to do that, I feel like it'll be a really, I feel like I'll be really proud of it.
So
um
then, on the behind the scenes, on the behind the camera part,
yeah,
directing versus writing, where would you want to sit?
absolutely directing more so than writing. I hate writing. Writing brings me sleepless nights
So funny.
and sweaty armpits.
So
And
then, what inspired you to make this one, to write this one?
because who else gonna do it for me? You know what I mean?
Fair.
The only reason why I write is because I'm like, who else is gonna do it?
Hmm.
You know what I mean? I'd have to go pay somebody. And like I said, I've been broke 27 years of my life.
Yeah.
I'm paying somebody to do something is never my first instinct. You know what I mean? So I'm like, all right. And I also just feel like, from a business standpoint, I'm like, it just, if I learn how to do this, it makes me more valuable.
Yeah.
And there's never a point in time where I have an excuse to not be working and not be doing something. You know what I mean?
Fair.
So just building up all these skills, although it's not something that I would want to make a career out of. Like, I don't see myself writing for a TV show, but I do see myself creating a TV show and running a TV show or something like that. You know what I mean? Um, yeah. So writing is more a necessity rather than a want. But directing is definitely something that I'm very passionate about. I love it. I
So
love it
then,
almost as much as acting.
do you have to write as well to be a showrunner? Can't you just also be a creator of a show?
No, you don't. Yeah, exactly. You can create a show and just be the showrunner, and
Yeah.
it's, in a way, it's like you're the director of the writer's room when you're a showrunner. There are showrunners that write as
Yeah.
well. But a lot of the times, at least in what I've seen and what I've been told and what I've been taught, is like a lot of the times the showrunner is the headmaster who's like, that's a great idea. That's a great idea. How about we do this with this? And he's the showrunner conceptualizes everything and puts it all together, and the writers go and write it. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
Which I think I would be really great at,
Yeah.
So I'd be down to do that job. But
Hmm.
I cannot imagine. I have so much respect for writers, because I'm like, I don't know how y'all wake up in the morning and be like, all right, I'm gonna write something today. Nah, man.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I think like, especially with that, where it's interesting because I've written a few things and it's like
Mhm.
only when I'm compelled to. So it's like with that, I think I'd be happy writing a
I feel
feature.
that.
But
Mhm.
then like, yeah, we're to be responsible for writing for a show, I think.
Yeah.
Because then what happens if like you just get tired of it? Like,
That's what I mean. Yeah.
what do you do?
Like,
It's like
what the,
you got to keep going. It's
yeah.
like, but then it's like
And
if it's a feature.
the way you said it was perfect, writing when you're compelled to it.
Yeah,
Because,
yeah,
like, if you're not compelled to do it, like, I've noticed in myself too, days when I want to write and days that I force myself to write, I come
yeah,
up with completely different things.
yeah.
I read back something that I wrote when, like, I was compelled to do it, and I'm like, yeah, no, I love this. This is good. Okay, I'm on the right track.
Mm,
Versus a day where I'm like, oh, I don't feel like doing this right now, and then I'll go do it just cause,
yeah.
and I'll be like, what? I'll end up revising the shit out of it before I even move on, because I'm like,
Yeah.
what is, I can't do it. No, that's no, you know what I mean? So I think
Mm.
that's it. I was gonna ask you about that. Like, have you been writing lately? Because I know you were writing like a couple things way back.
Yeah, I just finished a kid's book.
Hey, there you
So
go.
yeah, so right now I'm in talks looking for an illustrator to be a part of it. Um,
Nice. What
did
compelled you
that.
to do that?
Um,
That's so dope.
yeah, just like I I don't know. I don't know. The story seemed like it was very much catered to like not necessarily kids, but do you remember the Robert Munch book, I Will Always Love You?
Yes, yes.
So I recall a moment where it was some holiday and we were all at my aunt's house and it was all the grown-ups. Like all the kids are already
Mm-hmm.
to bed. I'm like I say all the kids are to bed, but like at the time I was like 10 and I was allowed to stay past my bedtime. So it's like the
Yeah.
younger kids are sleeping and I was
Yeah,
allowed to
yeah.
hang out with the adults because it was late. And it was my aunts and uncles and they were reading a kid's book. and it was that one. And it's like, this story I feel like is one of those ones where there's a message behind it, and I think there's also a little bit of cultural significance with this one,
Word.
where yeah, it's the premise of it is it's called, working title, Peeled Fruit, and
Nice.
essentially how I was raised, um and my mom always like peeled fruit for me, like if she was
Nice. Yeah.
eating or
Yeah.
something, like if, because as a kid, like if you just get handed a fruit, like you don't want to have to go through the efforts of having to
Yeah.
peel
The process of peeling
it. And so
it.
it wasn't until like a few years ago where it kind of hit me, where it's like now I'm peeling my own fruit. So it's like if friends are
Mm,
over or something and I'm having a healthy snack to myself, I'll offer peeled fruit to other people
yeah.
now. And I see
Yeah.
the gesture and what it implies. And
Hmm.
so, yeah, I thought I'd make that. And I'm seeing all these animated shorts and along the same lines of, people growing up with some kind of cultural relevance to something, and then they stray away
Hmm.
from it, and then they come back to it.
Come
So I
back to
felt
it. Yeah.
I felt this one would
I think that's a
cool.
beautiful thing, and I feel like that touches home with a lot of stuff, because even just the name just by itself, after you explain it, is
Yeah,
like that's heavy and it's like
yeah,
beautiful.
yeah,
You know what I mean? That gesture of your parents peeling fruit for you, and like
yeah,
I remember my mom like peeling tangerines and giving me one of the little things of a tangerine and stuff like
yeah,
that, and then she would be eating from it too, and then she peeled more and give me, and it's just like it's one of those bonding things that's so cultural
yeah,
and so important that like you never really think about, but like that's huge. I love that.
yeah.
That's a great idea, dude.
So yeah, and then I wanted to go the route of like just giving it to an animator to
Mm,
just go have fun with it or whatever. But then it's like I also want to have a say in what it looks like first.
yeah, yeah,
So
of
then I
course.
made, like, me being me, I made a script first,
Yeah.
and it was a lot of directions and stuff because I'm watching all these Pixar things and all these
Mm,
animated shorts, and it's like there's no words in it. It's all just description. And
yeah, yeah.
so while I'm writing it, I'm like, this would be interesting as a kid's book as well.
Mm,
So while I'm doing that, my only hurdle right now that I'm trying to overcome is to make it um in the vocabulary for kids as well,
word. I
where
get you.
I'm using big words. And it's like, oh,
Like
this word has 5 syllables. Might not be for a 4
gravitational
year old.
wave emitter.
You know
What?
what I mean? It's like, oh, so that's proving to be a little bit of a struggle with that. But like I have essentially the pages all laid out. And yeah, hopefully I can find an illustrator. I'm talking with a few people right now and get the drawing portion started of it. So I did that, and then I wrote my book from before. Don't know if you heard about that one, The King That
No,
Went Away.
no, I've never heard of this
So
one.
I wrote that one already while I was still living in
Nice.
Vancouver,
Hmm.
and then right now just in the process of looking through it, wanting to edit it, maybe add some more words to it to put more pages into it. 'Cause
Hmm.
right
Yeah.
now it reads as a very long feature.
Oh, really?
And it's like, okay, because I love reading, and I'm like, that's just something that I wish I was a lot more proficient in, was being descriptive and how to be descriptive, because
Hmm.
that's what novels are all about, is they
Yeah.
describe things.
Describe the shit out of everything.
Whereas I've gotten used to, especially when it comes to reading scripts, where it's like, okay, I have enough information on this page to imagine things myself.
Yeah.
And I hate it
Yeah.
when script writers would write so much detail, and it's like,
Yeah.
oh, but if I were this character, as I've immersed myself, I would want to do this. I would want to do this.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's like,
Yeah.
and now it's like, oh, they're telling me what to think. I don't like
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
So, and it's almost like Lee Childs and Tom Clancy. Their writing is incredible, but
Hmm.
it's just way too detailed for me, where it doesn't let my imagination kind of play a bit,
Do its own thing. Yeah, I
because
get you.
it's described down to a T. This is what you're
Yeah.
seeing, this is what you're reading, this is what, this is how this is.
Yeah.
And so it's not saying that I can't read their stuff, but it's like I'd rather immerse myself how I want to immerse myself whenever I'm reading novels. And
Yeah.
so I'll read like Dan Brown. Dan Brown does a great job in my opinion. And the way that he writes is very theatrical, where it's like scene by scene. Each chapter is a scene. And
Oh,
so
nice.
it's really fun to follow that. So it's like that's my hurdle with that is just trying
Mm-hmm.
to put more details into it, or do I just leave it as is and just consider it like a short novel, or I don't know, and then see what the fans think of it or something. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's there.
That's dope,
Uh,
man.
yeah, and then right now I'm watching Marvel 616
Mm-hmm.
on Disney, and
Yeah.
that's
I gotta
kind of
watch
like
that still.
reinvigorating my concept for the Protectors. I think I told you about that one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I
Um,
remember that one.
yeah, so it's like I think I could start revisiting that one again. And it's like it's
Yeah.
fun, like revisiting these old ideas where it's like, yeah, these ideas actually weren't that bad. And I think that's the best part
Mm-hmm.
about like keeping an idea book around is like
Yeah.
being able to go back to it, and then you can really see which ideas were good and then which
Yeah,
ideas you
yeah.
should just cross off.
I love that. I love that too. Like I use this program called Celtics when I write,
Mm.
and
I use
like
a
I remember
Microsoft Word.
that one
the
comes
free
clutch.
the free
Never
trial
fails.
version.
Never
The
fails.
non-updated 97 Windows
92.
edition.
Yeah, yeah,
That's yeah.
that's hilarious. It's just called Word now.
Yeah. Oh,
Um,
is it? It's
yeah,
no longer.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah. I'm
gotcha.
just like,
Okay, cool.
yeah. Yeah. Going back to that site every now and again, I see a bunch of like old things that I've written,
Hmm.
and it's the concepts are there, and it just reinvigorates. Sometimes I get lost in that because,
Hmm.
like, same thing. I'll watch a show or something like that, and that show that I'm watching will be like, oh yeah, I remember I was writing something like that. It'll remind me of like one of the characters in this thing that I wrote like 6 years ago.
Hmm.
And then I'll log on to Celtics and see that script where it's only the first draft, not even done. But I'm like, oh, this thing has bones. Like it's fun. It's not done and it's not well written, but the concept of what this is
Hmm.
fun. And it's like, oh man, I want to revisit this thing. Do you find that happens to you a lot where like you'll watch something and your ideas or your feelings about certain ideas or certain things that you've done or started, and you just you just ping pong between
Oh yeah.
these ideas that you've had from before? Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
like
That's
with
something
that
that I find happens to me on a regular basis.
the first book that I wrote, like I say, like it's published. The first one that I
Will
was
be.
writing,
Will be.
yeah, hopefully, fingers crossed. I wrote, I want to say it's like 38 chapters, and I wrote the first half of it in a month. Like I just sat
Mhm.
at the computer and I just kept writing. And
Yeah.
then like just this massive writer's block just came over me. And then
Hate that shit.
the next half of it literally took like a year to finish. But it was like
Crazy how that works.
the first few months of writer's block was me trying to force it out, nothing was happening. And then it kind of came full circle where I kind of just like pushed it aside and just said I'll get back to it when I get back to it. And then I can't remember what I was watching, but yeah, it's essentially it reinvigorated the drive to do it. And once that was reinvigorated, the writing again just flowed. But
Mm.
it took time for that to happen.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so that was like one thing that I've kind of not prided myself in, but I'm aware of where it's like if you have an idea, just write it down, even if like
Hmm.
you don't have time to finish it, or but then write it down as to the fullest that you can, and then revisit it when you revisit it,
Yeah.
and then that'll tell you if you're still into it and if
In
you're
it. Yeah.
yeah. So,
Yeah.
because like that's the thing I find about ideas is ideas will always be there. They're ideas I find are just floating around in the universe, and it's
I
however
was just
attached
gonna
you
say
are.
that. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I remember I read this book and I don't remember what it was. It's like it's not the magic, but there was some book. It was a self-help book about like
Mm,
inspiration and all that stuff. And the author was talking about how divine an idea is. An
mm,
idea isn't just something that you have, it's something that finds you.
yeah.
And when it finds you, sometimes it's there just to plant a seed and to, for me, something that happens often is I'll get an idea for something, I'll follow that idea, and that idea will inspire a bunch of other things, and
Mm,
then that original idea gets lost.
mm,
But sometimes ideas do that, where they'll just come, you know, lay seeds and then kind of disappear. And then also what happens is the author was talking about how there was one time where she had an idea for this book, and she had this idea, she wrote it down, and she was like, okay, I'm gonna go to that book.
mm,
And she was like, this is why it's so important to always spend time with your ideas and give your ideas attention. If your idea leaves because it leaves some seeds, it leaves. But if your idea is with you and it sticks with you, pay attention to it. Because what
mm,
will happen, and what happened to her, was she had this idea for this book, wrote it down, left it where it was, went off to look for other ideas. You know what I mean? So she was ignoring the one that came to her. She went off looking for other ideas. And then when she was ready to come back and see this idea, somebody had already written that book and won a whole bunch of awards and blah, 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 blah. The exact same story. The exact same story. Character names were different and shit like that. But the story, plot wise and story wise, was the exact same. And that's where she, like, that's what first piqued her ideas. And then she heard about that happening with other people, where when they don't respect their ideas, the idea will be like, okay, clearly you're not,
that's
I need,
interesting.
you know what I mean? And so it'll float off and go
Do
to
you
someone else.
remember who the author was, or
I don't, but I'll look it up and I'll message you about it. I don't remember who the author was, but it's a book that's in my
do you
bucket
remember what
list.
book was written?
It was called like the it's one of Celeste's books. It's one of my
Mm,
girlfriend's books. I remember what the page looks like, and it's something about it's think. I remember seeing the word think. I don't remember the author or anything like that.
no, but like the idea for the book, like the original book. Do you remember what that book
Oh no,
was?
it was like it was she was telling a tale. It was a story about like a woman who meets her husband in like some like vacation that she went on,
Hmm,
and then their journey is like basically it was a story about serendipity, really, about how they came
gotcha.
together and it was perfect, and they went off and lived their separate lives,
Yeah,
and then the book carries you throughout their separate lives, and then how they ended up meeting each other again with their full families and having that spark be the thing
that's
again.
cool.
Some along the lines of that. It sounded like a really great book,
Yeah.
but she was like, somebody else wrote it before I got the chance to write it, even though I had the
Mm,
idea like 3 or 4 years ago.
yeah.
And she
Yeah.
was like, this is an idea I know I have, and it's something I know I'll easily write. So I can come
Yeah.
back to this at any time. Let me go do this other thing. And
Yeah.
the idea was like, all right, if you're not going to respect me, I came here for you, but somebody else wants me. So let me go over there.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the whole idea, or she painted this whole idea of ideas being this divine gift
Mm,
that are there for a purpose, and you got to recognize their purpose, kind of thing.
mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And whenever that happens, I always think about when I was a kid, like my dad used to makeshift these things for sports. Like he put me and my brother in hockey and baseball and basketball, and he'd make these
Nice.
things. And one thing that always like there's two inventions I'd say that he made, and it was like just for my brother and myself. And
Yeah.
he didn't like, and that was it. He just left it at that. And then
Yeah.
like years later, I'd see it at like played against sports or national
Oh
sports,
shit.
and
Yeah.
it's like and it's selling for like $100, and like I'm like,
Oh wow.
this
Yeah.
is nuts, like because all it is whenever you sit down and anything comes into your head where you're like,
hmm
man, I really wish I had this. Chances are you're not the only person who's thought of it,
Yeah, that's
because
true.
it's ideas come based on just imagination and necessity.
Absolutely.
where like for some reason the only thing that just popped in my head right now is the spork.
Yeah.
Like somebody was like, I wish I just had one utensil that was a fork and a spoon.
I wanna eat my noodles and drink the soup at the same time.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that
Yeah.
was it. That was the idea. And
Yeah.
then all of
Yeah.
a sudden, boom, here it is. And it's like,
Yeah.
so whenever, because like I've had that thought so many times too, where it's just like, man, I wish I had this. And then like I'll go on Amazon and I'll type in my description and
Mm.
there would be something.
Oh
And that's
yeah.
all it is.
Yeah.
So it's like when it comes to just honoring your ideas, like that's the main thing I find is just to,
Yeah.
yeah, just if you have an idea, just go search it. And it
Yeah.
even reached a point like a few years ago, whenever I had ideas, I like try to look up the patents to see,
Yeah.
and it's like, yeah, nope, there it is. It just
There it
hasn't been
is.
created, but there's the patent.
Yeah.
It's
Somebody
someone
has
that
the idea. Yeah. Yeah.
so
And they
that's like
hopped on it.
somebody hopped on it. It's so annoying.
Yeah.
It's like but I'm just trying to be an inventor now. That's what I'm
Yeah.
doing.
Yeah.
Oh
You
man,
guys just taking
nuts.
my shit away from me. That's
Uh,
hilarious.
but all right. So I also want to bring to light with what. Tell me about this room that you're sitting in.
Oh yeah, it's not done yet. It's all
Yeah.
very bare. I just built this IKEA furniture last week.
Mm.
Haven't put anything in the shelves yet.
But
But
this is the office.
yeah,
This is
this is the office space. I don't know if you remember Mount Pleasant area,
yeah
like Commercial Drive and Terminal, I guess,
yeah.
or something like that. But yeah,
That's where the truck is or was. Where I
yeah,
was
that's
building
yeah.
the truck.
I'm
Yeah.
literally right up the street from where the truck was. Yeah.
That's so funny.
Yeah, so I just got this office because I had this idea to start streaming. Same thing. It's an idea that I didn't respect for a long time. And I was like, you know what, let me just do it.
Mm.
And it's going really great. Like I just finished streaming before I hopped on this with you.
Mm.
But yeah, I play video games. Video games have kind of always been my therapy. Um, it wasn't too long ago where I started to allow myself to play video games as my therapy
Mm.
and as just like my balance for myself. Is where I take my own space and I'm with me and I'm doing this thing. Because a lot of the times I remember I stopped playing video games because I was like, it's a waste of time and you're grown and da 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 da. To say all these things to myself, which have a foundation on our facts, but it's just something that helps me and feels good to do. So
Okay.
I started doing it again maybe like a year ago, and I there's an avenue now for me to do it and make money doing it. So I'm like,
Yeah.
it's not a waste of time. Now it's helping me both in terms of my mental health as well as my financial health.
Yeah.
You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? So I started streaming on Twitch. This was literally my second public stream, but my fourth time just streaming in general.
Mm.
Um, and so I built up this room. How you see it now, it's going to change a lot. Built my computer, did all the things that I needed to do, having a lot of fun doing it. It's McknightTime with 2 T's is my Twitch channel. And yeah, no, I love it. And like, I'm already building a little bit of a community. As soon as I like broadcasted that I'm gaming and stuff like that and doing it as like a side career kind of thing,
Mm.
or like a side hustle,
Yeah.
so many people came out of the woodwork. So many
Mm.
people game, and so many people are interested in streaming as well, or watch
Oh
other people that stream. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So it's like all of a sudden, as soon as I start talking about it, this whole community of people that I've known for years, just out of nowhere, like, oh, yo, I do this too. Like, let's hop on and blah, 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 blah.
Wow.
So it's been really, really good. And that's another thing about ideas. You have no idea who would be into it. You just say the thing and other people are like, yeah, like I want to be part of that as well. So it's been great. And then also like fans of the show and stuff like that have been my biggest support system through the gaming stuff, like
Mm.
more so than I thought. So that's been really nice. A lot of people stream and it takes them a year to like build up a chat room and have people
Mm.
actually interacting with them and stuff like that. And it's
Yeah.
my second time streaming publicly and people are already excited to be there, so it's
Mm.
a little bit of a cheat code, but like I'm very, very grateful and very happy about it. And it's something that I find myself doing. Like I think my next one's either going to be tomorrow or on Friday.
Do you
Something
do it on your
I'm
own schedule then, or do you try
Yeah,
to? Okay.
Yeah, I do it on my own schedule just because, you know, with the show schedule
Yeah.
and stuff like that, you never know when you'll have off. So basically every day that I have off, I'm gonna be streaming. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's good, man. I love it. I love it.
Do
It's
you
like
have
therapy
anybody
and money at the same
involved
time.
that's like, because I think I spoke with a few other people who are doing like Twitch streams and things like that, and they have
Mhm.
someone on board like a moderator.
Moderator, I just locked down my moderator today. Literally like on 30 minutes before my stream.
Yeah.
And same thing, I put the idea out there, and my old boss at Nissan, his wife, them two game,
Oh
and she's
wow.
also a streamer. And then she offered to be my moderator, and I was like, hell yeah, like
Cool.
whatever you can teach me, teach me. So she moderated my thing this time, and then she was teaching me all the little things that I got to change up to make it easier for her and better for myself. And like same thing, like as soon as I put the word out, all the things just
That's
kind of
dope.
fell into place. So
So
yeah, yeah,
how did, is it that your old boss like follows you on social media as well, or like how did
yeah,
that? Gotcha. I
yeah,
don't know.
yeah. He follows
Maybe you
me.
guys are just really good friends, and you call him every Friday, and
Yeah,
maybe that was it.
could,
I don't know.
yeah, it could be that. But no, like he actually, like before I even built my computer and shit like that, I saw him post some on social media, and he has this whole battle station in his like garage where it's him and his
Oh
wife,
wow.
and they have their separate computers and their separate setups, and they game, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
And I was like, that's incredible, I want that.
Yeah.
So when I posted that I was streaming, he was like, hey, let me know, and we talk about specs and shit, like, and all the computer shit. And then yeah, and like she helped me out a lot today. I'm looking forward to the next streams because like things are going to be a little more finessed.
Hmm.
um and like somebody, she got like one of her friends, they have this thing on Twitch called rating, where a person, when they finish their stream, they take their audience and say, hey, I'm heading over to so and so's channel, come join me. And then so they bring all the people that were just watching them over to your channel to watch you.
Cool.
So it, like, it's a raid on your channel. So that happened for the first time for me today. Same thing with a lot of people, they don't see that in the first year.
Yeah.
So that was cool. I learned how to raid someone else. I did that when I finished my stream. So I'm learning really quickly, and it's like a thing. Like
Yeah.
it's as complicated and as nuanced and as involved as like any other job. Like
Yeah.
it's a lot, you know what I mean? So it's been dope. It's been
So
crazy.
now, like with respect to you building your own computer, did you have any idea what you needed? Did you know how much
Not
RAM
at
you
all.
need? Did you so
Not
then
at all, bro.
how did
I
you?
didn't know shit. Same thing. I have a homie back home named AJ, and he's like a computer scientist. Like he's like a computer engineer. I don't know
Hmm.
what the correct term is, but he works with computers for a living. I remember even when we were
He
kids,
is a
he was
Best
like
Buy Geek
building.
Squad. No,
Yeah, he probably put them to shame. Like
that's so funny.
even from when we were kids, he was always like building computers and shit like that. So whenever I had any sort of computer issue just in life, I'd always go to him. And then I was like, yo, I kind of want to like do this. I kind of want to build a PC. Like I know like I can have my PlayStation and stuff, but I want to like game. To game, you need a PC. So I was like, all right, let me hop on that.
Hmm.
And he kind of taught me a lot of stuff, but it was a lot of him and a lot of YouTube tutorials, basically, of like
Gotcha.
what each part does. Because for me, coming from a mechanic background, you can tell me what I need, but it's not going to help me if I don't understand what they're doing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? What is each component doing? What's the purpose of it? Because then when I build it, I'll know what I'm doing, and I'll be able to see what's a mistake and what's not.
Yeah.
So he taught me, he told me all the things that I would need to build the machine to the requirements that I wanted. And then I went into YouTube and was like, okay, what does this do? What does that do? How does this work? How's that work? And how does this match with this? How does that match
So
with that? How
so
is this
pretty much
compatible with this?
I built a tiny home through YouTube tutorials, and you built
Built
your
a
gaming
computer
computer.
through YouTube. YouTube is the plug.
Man.
Whatever you want to do in life, go on YouTube for real.
Yeah. No, I feel
But
that.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
funny. That's funny. And so now with that, do you play, like, what games are you playing? Are you buying games because other people are saying, "Hey, play this game. Let's see you play this." Or
Legit, yeah.
hmm,
Yeah. One of the things that I'm doing right now, and one of the things I did in my channel, I'm literally downloading a game called Battlefield right now as we're talking. But there's a game play called Legends. It's just a shooter game.
Sorry, you cut off there.
I downloaded
Say
Halo.
that again?
Everybody knows. Ooh, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Can you
What
hear
did
me?
you? Yeah, I got you now. What
Okay.
did you?
Yeah. I play a game called Apex Legends. It's a
Mm.
free game that you just hop in. It's like a battle royale. It's kind of like how people talk about Fortnite. Same style of game, different mechanics and different characters and shit like that.
Gotcha.
There's also Halo that I just downloaded. There's a new Halo out now. There's also the game that I'm downloading right now as we speak called Battlefield, which I used to play way back in the day. But I'm also into like adventure games and stuff like that. So I ask people what they want to see me play, and I'm constantly looking for new things to play that I want to play.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna build up a roster of games. There's some people who only stream a specific game. I don't think I could do that. I feel like I get bored of it really fast, and
Yeah.
90% of the reason why I'm doing this is that therapeutic fun that I seek.
Yeah.
So the moment something starts to get boring, I want to be able to have something else to switch to.
How long can like somebody stream the same game for? Doesn't it finish? Doesn't the game end?
No. So the thing is that there's all these games now where they're just like you go in a lobby with a bunch of other people and you fight each other, or like you shoot each other, and you rank up and you get better and better and better, and there's no real end to the game. You can just get better and better and better and better.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? So like with those games, for instance, like games like Apex or Battlefield or Halo, you can play the games literally forever if you wanted to, until the new one came out or the new version of it came out. What these games do is they break so like let's say you have a game called Apex, and then there'll be Apex 2. They don't do that anymore with these games. What they'll do is they'll have seasons. So the first season of this game is like this, and then they'll change the game and add new things to the game, and that'll be season 2. Then they'll change things, introduce new characters. That'll be season 3. So it's always developing, always changing, and people are always getting better and better. So the game play itself feels different. It's a whole thing.
Yeah.
It's a whole thing,
now,
bro.
like,
It's crazy.
respectfully, even with that, so it's like you say it's a whole thing. Have you invested into that side of things? Like, because the gaming world is only becoming more and more prolific, and even when it comes to stocks,
it's a legit
and
sport now,
everything.
dude. It's crazy.
Yeah. So it's like, how do you go about investing in this technology? Have you thought of that, or?
Not so much. I mean, everything about this office I've thought of as an investment, just for the purposes of streaming. I don't think I'll ever really strive to be competitive in gaming.
Yeah.
Because like
I'm not even talking about the competitive side, but I'm talking about the investment side in terms of like the
investing in like the stocks of certain.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. I've thought about that a lot. I've actually been talking to my business managers about it, because like it's only, like you said, it's only growing and it's only getting bigger. And especially since COVID has happened and people have been like locked in their houses and stuff like that, gaming was already one of the top grossing businesses in the entertainment world. After COVID, it's like honestly, bro, it's up there with like porn. Like there's a lot of money in gaming right now. And even just as actors, people who book gigs on games, like that's quite the payday. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like there's a lot of money in gaming, and I've been talking to my business managers about trying to figure out the right way to do it. I haven't hopped on YouTube about that yet. But and I haven't done my Googles on that yet, but I definitely want to like look into that shit, because it'd be nice to play a game that I'm invested in, you know what I mean? Both mentally and financially, but yeah, that's definitely something that I've thought about.
Man, like once you figure that out, let me know.
You're
my inside guy when it comes to that investing now, because like everybody wants to talk about like investing in crypto and all that stuff. I don't get that.
EFTs and all that.
I don't. But it's like
I can't wrap my head around it.
No, if you have an insight on like which stocks in terms of gaming, let me know.
All day, we'll let you know.
Man, that's dope. That's crazy. Yeah, well, I'm so thrilled for that. So what's your handle called again? McknightTime.
McknightTime. McknightTime.
Dope. That'll be
So you
down
can just
in
go
the
to Twitch,
description.
twitch.tv/McknightTime, and you'll find my shit.
Sick. Awesome. Well,
Yeah.
I wish you all the best with that. And you're not even gonna need that because your follower count is just growing as the show is going. So you got
Yeah.
that under wraps.
Appreciate you, bro.
So proud of you.
Appreciate you.
But
Thank you.
thank you so much for coming on. And
No, this is great, man.
yeah, maybe we'll do this again sometime in the new
Yeah,
year.
yeah. I'm down, man.
Like I reached out to a whole bunch of people, and I'm so thrilled with everybody that's gotten back to me. And so I think
I'm
this is gonna
excited
be a
to see
thing.
them, man.
I think
It's
this is
gonna
gonna
be a
be a
thing. I love it.
Yeah, everybody, Brandon MckNight on the 2 Degrees
Yeah.
podcast, brought to you by Play On Foundation. And yeah, guess I'll see you when I see you, brother.
Talk to you soon, brother. Take care.
Yeah. How do I